Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Today, December 23rd, it's kind of a Christmas event for us at Sitecore User Group Columbus. We have gathered all the MVPs, just having a chit chat, discussing about Sitecore, and kind of giving us our Christmas wishes. So this will be just a fun discussion session, what we do, what we are thinking about, what we want. Let's start with Himadri.
All right. Thank you, everyone. As Maulik said, thanks for joining this event. Thanks for accepting invitation. Um, you guys are MVP or whatever you say is actually, I think, benefits the community with all your experience. So we did put together some guidelines that what we are going to discuss. I shared that in the Slack in our DM. So we'll kind of loosely follow that. Not necessarily you have to follow strictly. If you want to talk about something, feel free to bring it up and talk about that. So I'll go first. Introduce myself. My name is Himadri Chakrabarti. I have been working on Sitecore platform for last probably 15 years. Um, I am MVP, and this is my 12th time when I applied for the MVP application. Hope I'll get it. I haven't done a lot this year, rather focused on using Sitecore as a platform. I'll talk about that a bit later when we come to that discussion. Um, so yeah, so sorry, I think that's the first point that we talk about, what we actually worked on this year. So this year for me is actually a little different than other years where I focused on using Sitecore or building on the top of Sitecore rather than exploring Sitecore or what's going on with the Sitecore a lot, which I used to do in other years, looking at what new things are coming. Um, but because of the project, I focused mainly on using the current platform. Although I faced, I came across new things that was released. Like one of them is content SDK. We were talking about that before. But a lot of my work actually happened this year with Order Cloud. I focused on the commerce platform a lot, the project because of the kind of project I'm working on. And there are some interesting things that I found in the Order Cloud, which I have not seen in other e-commerce platform. So that's the area where I mainly focused this year. So I'll stop here and pass it to Corey.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Himadri. So I'm Corey Smith. I am an independent consultant in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been doing Sitecore for, I think, 10 years now, probably the baby of this group, actually. Um, been a Sitecore MVP for a few years. I every Friday at 12:15 p.m. Eastern Time, I co-host Sitecore Lunch with Jim Petillo, who we'll get to soon. That's a lunch that's open to everyone in the Sitecore community to come get together, chat about Sitecore, and oftentimes things that aren't not related to Sitecore. Um, yeah, so I do that. This month, I just launched the Sitecore Community Advent Calendar, which will be wrapping up in a couple of days now on the 25th. That's been featuring blog posts from community members across the world. So go check that out at scadvent.com if you haven't already. As for what I've been working on this year, it's been very boring stuff. It's just Sitecore XP and XM. I'm sad to say. nothing really interesting to report there, but I do have some wishes for that I think we'll get to later in the talk. Pass it off to you, Jim.
Sure. So I'm Jim Petillo. I'm also an independent contractor, mostly in the strategy space. This past year, I've been working with a couple different clients, mostly with migrating content from older platforms into Sitecore XM and XM Cloud. A lot of the work that I've been doing, it's weird working with other partners because you get to see like a little peek behind the scenes on how they put their sites together. So that part's been interesting and a little bit challenging to see how different companies work when you come in as an independent person to move stuff from A to B. But yeah, I've got a couple of different wishes that I can bring up too. So when we get to that part, I'm going to pass it off to Jeff.
Thank you, Jim. I'm Jeff Leheureux. I'm working with Sitecore for 11 years now. This year for me has been a mix of 3 different things. We migrated clients to XM Cloud, Sitecore AI. We did a lot of client work, including one client with 30 sites approximately. That was a big challenge. And otherwise, I spend my time building a consistent headless component ecosystem, kind of starter kit on the side. And lately, content SDK migrations is the most of the work. I'm gonna pass it to Maulik.
Hey, I have been working in Sitecore since 16 years. I've been MVP 4 times and love to explore Sitecore. Have been, I would say, a biggest fan of our Sitecore community, how people are helping each other. And that is the biggest advantage of Sitecore community, that people are not competing each other, people are supporting each other. They are helping each other how to become MVPs. They are not competing. So that is one of the biggest thing about our Sitecore community. And thanks to each and everyone joined today. You guys have been excellent members of Sitecore community and the great help you guys have provided. So from all the behalf of all the people in Sitecore community, I would like to thank each and every one of you, because you guys have shared combined, I would say that at least 30-40 years of MVP total. So yeah, that's a pretty huge contribution. From my contribution, what I have worked upon this year, I have been back to Sitecore XP this year with a new contract. So I've been working on a legacy Sitecore system where there are pretty huge amount of Sitecore indexes, lots of data, millions of images. So it's kind of a excitement for me and my team that how to have the great performance of the website. So it's really good to see that kind of area for performance and everything. And then I started exploring Sitecore Stream with Sitecore XP, not the XM Cloud, but with XP, how we can connect Stream with XP. So during this holiday, I'm just gonna try that one and really hoping that I'll get to reach something, find something unique that can help the community. And I'll not take much time. I'll pass on to Bala.
Hey everyone, Bala here. I think I should claim myself as the baby Sitecore. We are I'm like 8 years or 9 years, probably started in 2017 late. I've been in the community, I've been 5 times MVP, and I also run the Sitecore user group Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. And then also part of the Sitecore lunch, pretty much most of the weeks I would try to join, make it happen. Last year I did work on XM, XP, and Order Cloud. So we did some migrations from XP to XM, and then we did some Order Cloud work. I also did a headless migration, and then I did multiple migrations from ASP.NET to MVC. And then I also did a migration from headless older version to the latest headless. So, and also did a little bit work on the stream, integrating that to the existing clients who are using XM. So that's all from me. I'll pass it on to Jamie.
Thanks, Bala. Yeah, last one. But I'm Kamruz Jaman. I'm 14 times Sitecore MVP. I've been working on Sitecore for 16 years now. I was actually looking at the date, and it was 2009 in December that I started a new job at an agency, small little agency in London. And yeah, they got this project for some system called Sitecore. I'd never heard about it, and I think probably like a lot of you, we have similar stories where we started the job at some agency and we were just told to go and work on this project, and we had to go learn it. And here we are, right? All this time later. Obviously, we made good choices there because it's a very much an in-demand system, and we get some very interesting projects, right, as well, especially with the integrations. This year, I've actually been working on a lot of sales enablement as well with the team. I've been doing less and less hands-on work myself. Some of the hands-on work we have been doing is experimenting around the marketplace. I know obviously Sorak shared released a marketplace module as well. A lot of work around the headless pieces across different systems. A lot of legacy XMXP work as well, like Corey, Maulik, and Jim as well. A lot of upgrades, a lot of work with Stream, and a lot of planning, I think, for going to the future and what that looks like in terms of Sitecore AI as it is now, or XM Cloud as we used to know it. But weirdly, we also actually started a project on XM, Sitecore XM with SXA headless on-prem because the customer wanted to remain on-prem. So I know we'll probably get to the future of XMXP, but that probably will factor into it quite heavily as well.
Yeah. So first round is over, I guess. So the next topic that we want to touch is what is the most significant change that you observed in Sitecore ecosystem this year. So first of all, you guys, this is just such a diverse group of people working in Sitecore ecosystem from the very, I heard Bala said ASP.NET to ASP2 MVC, that's amazing that still that kind of client exists and you need to migrate them. But future is different. So we need to think about that too. So for me, I think, as I said, I focus more on implementing something on current Sitecore. But in that respect, also, I see the biggest change that I saw is introduction of content SDK, which we actually, although our project is not live yet, we moved to content SDK, and it seems that that's where Sitecore wants to go. Okay, so the whole front end application has been moved to the content SDK. From the perspective of e-commerce, where I spent a lot of time this year, I didn't see a lot of change in the order cloud. It's definitely an interesting e-commerce, headless e-commerce system. So you can do a lot. But I was talking with the order cloud architect, which I closely work with, and I haven't heard any of these AI changes actually affected them, or they were considered. But I am hoping that that will come soon. So I think AI will be integrated with e-commerce, and there are a lot of opportunities there. But the biggest change that we we saw is actually moving to content SDK? Corey?
Biggest changes for me, I mean, like I said, I'm still working on XMXP. Sitecore is not really doing a lot of investment there in that existing platform right now. So no big changes seen there. I think that just overall, looking at Sitecore, not any individual product, but as a company as a whole, I think it's something that I saw last year at Sitecore Symposium in Nashville, and I really felt carried forward this year, particularly at Symposium, is that Sitecore as a company and their product portfolio feels a lot more cohesive. It feels like they've got a stronger vision than they've ever had before. And I was telling somebody that I just remember going to previous symposiums like 2019, 2018, and just kind of walking away from it thinking like, who would actually buy this CMS? This is not exciting. This is, what are they doing? You know, it didn't really feel like they had a cohesive vision. But at the last two symposiums, I mean, seeing the things that they're actually building and putting out, I mean, I think that they really are building a really awesome CMS, is something that would be exciting to purchase as a customer and start working with. I think we see a lot of agility with Sitecore now on things that we didn't see so much in the past. I mean, just how quickly they moved with the content SDK this year. I mean, at SUGCon, they came out and they're like, hey, this thing's in beta. Go ahead and start using it on your projects right now. They turned that around and it's a full release now within the same year. They've added app router support to that really quickly. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think watching Sitecore as a company right now is really exciting. Kamruz?
Yeah, they've definitely got some momentum there. I agree with you. It's been last year, it was AI, it was around Stream at Symposium, right? This year, it felt like the past 4 or 5 years worth of acquisitions, and the pieces finally were fitted together, right, into that into that full jigsaw puzzle. So things are much more integrated. I think we've seen. It's been interesting with the market itself as well, right? So when Sitecore was making these acquisitions, they were making these integrations. They weren't fully integrated, but they were quite well integrated back then, 3 or 4 years ago. The market was saying this isn't really a Mark product. It's a suite. It shouldn't. This isn't how headless works. These are against the principles. Blah 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 blah. And now you're seeing. Which to a lot of us, these headless systems didn't make sense because they're just content systems, and we've always worked with marketers who want to design things visually. They want those personalization pieces in there. They want these fully integrated tools and not 5 separate tools. And you can see other companies have now finally realized this, or the market has finally told them this, and they've had to go and make these acquisitions and these integrations themselves, and are now kind of backpedaling a bit and taking that position that Sitecore was already, has always taken, right? They've always said this is how marketing systems work. This is how marketers will be most effective and most efficient. With a lot of the changes, I was quite excited with some of the changes that Sitecore had announced actually at Symposium, that all of their subsystems, if you like, are now on the same platform, which is Microsoft Azure. That allows them to take a much greater advantage of AI because it's a single platform, it's a single unified back end. Everything can work together. All those AI data streams can work together. So it's been really, it was a really exciting launch. It's been interesting to see them finally get to this point where it's a fully cohesive product. Obviously, the content SDK is going to unlock a lot and help them move a lot more quicker with while at the same time removing a lot of that legacy baggage. And I know they have a lot of things coming as well in the next few months. We can talk about that in afterwards, but it kind of, the pace is really exciting at the moment.
Jim?
So I think the biggest thing that I'm taking away from the strategy and marketing side is that it is getting easier to author content inside of Sitecore. I've worked in one project I worked on earlier in the year was using the Pages editor, and it was nice to be able to, just drag and drop stuff around and have it work and have things look good. So I can definitely see like improvements in the way that the authoring process is coming together inside of Sitecore. With other projects that I've been working on, a lot of them are using the more traditional, like um, mostly using the content editor and then presentation details. I've got one that was using the older experience editor. So it's nice to see all of those things still out in the wild and to be able to see like the experience from one to the other, how it's just so different and how there's been like this progression of change um, with how easy it is. You need to know less coding, less HTML. And I know as a marketer, that sounds like a lot but most people don't know. They're good in Microsoft Word and why doesn't it work the same way? And so at least it's getting better for other people without the tech chops and the experience to be able to put their content together. How about you, Bala?
Yeah, one thing stood out to me this year as starting from monolith and then moving into composable and then moving into the new term compost. So that stood out pretty much. Everything was in one package. Everybody loved it, although it was maintenance heavy. And then they made it composable by what you need. And then now they made everything together, tightly integrated, which is a good thing. And also, like other people said, the content SDK and a lot of other things. And the feedback loop is being looked at now. That's what I'm seeing. So they're listening from the customers, what they want, like when there were questions around certain things, it was more like, okay, this is what the customers want, and that's what we're going to do. That is very loud and clear going forward. So that's all from me, Jeff.
Thank you, Balaji. Content SDK for sure is a big one, but for me, I would pick the Sitecore Marketplace. It's the option that makes the Sitecore AI SaaS platform extensible again, compared to XMXP days where it was super extensible. We were missing that in Sitecore XM Cloud, so I really enjoy the Marketplace addition where we can define custom field types, custom application that opens in various contexts. It's really the thing that for developers and complex solutions will have a good impact on allowing previous XMXP solution to be migrated to Sitecore AI. Yeah, Maulik?
Yeah. So overall, we have quite a lot of major shifts, or maybe you can say some really good releases close to Symposium, that XM Cloud is changed to Sitecore AI, and now Sitecore AI also includes the personalize and CDP. So that's a really welcoming change. People who have been companies who have been working on Sitecore XM Cloud with just CMS, they have some personalization option available out of the box now. So that's a really welcoming change. What I love. Sitecore, I'm working in XP. So Sitecore 10.4.1 is also a very welcoming release. It has solved a few Solar vulnerability and new identity server, new SQL encryption. So they are working pretty hard to make the application much more secure. Uh, 10.4.1 installation is little tricky, but yeah, it's fun. Uh, I took some time, went through some blogs, and yeah, was able to install. I went through one of the blog from Kamruz as well. So that helps out. And so far, there are lots of really good releases this year. But I would say that Sitecore AI, I'm looking forward to work in Sitecore AI next year, at least have some more uh, ideas. And also, I'm looking forward to Sitecore 10.5 release, when it will be out and what it will include. So that's a
Thanks.
good thing.
Yeah.
And future would be our next topic about AI, how much it has impacted your work, your implementations. So for us, we started with so lots of things. We tried ChatGPT, we tried ChatGPT, we tried Claude, we tried GitHub Copilot, everything installed within Visual Studio. So GitHub Copilot, we are getting it installed in Studio. So these are some of the things which can help us code. No doubt, lots of challenges are there. If we ask, hey, can you implement? I want to implement XYZ, and ChatGPT would say, yeah, you can do like this, and hey, it doesn't work like that. If I ask ChatGPT something, people would say that yeah, it is much more faster to answer, but yeah, 50% of the time we have to do it and then say, hey, whatever you provided, it's not working. And then ChatGPT, oh, I am sorry. So still, AI is still little far, but yeah, it helps out, giving ideas that these are the steps we can implement something like that. So, but it is helping out. At least it is increasing the development speed. Some logic, some concepts are clarified, some codes reworked, refactored easily. So that's helping out. So
Yeah.
let's see what
Right.
is the
Definitely,
future.
there's definitely a lot of hallucinations, right? It'll give you a lot of answers which don't exist, and you say, "Oh yeah, that was on an older version." Oh, sorry, yeah, I'm sorry, right? Or this was just a suggestion for a method that you could create yourself, but I'm not going to tell you how. I mean, obviously, I think with terms of AI in development, it has affected everybody. I think everybody's using it in some degree or other. Like you mentioned, obviously, Claude, we use that quite a lot. Cursor, we've used a lot. Copilot within Visual Studio and VS Code. But what we have found is it works a lot better with headless, for example, right? So headless, Next.js, React, Angular, whatever you like. It works a lot better with those types of languages. It works a lot better with .NET Core, and not so well with what we're used to with traditional XMXV, which is the MVC, and I don't know how much Bala did with ASP.NET. They used it for migration, maybe. Yeah. But then just the integrations, I think, alone, like, do you see the difference in the integration with VS Code, for example, in Visual Studio versus, the Copilot in Visual Studio versus a Copilot in VS Code? They're very different, and more agentic in VS Code than they are in Visual Studio. So things like that, I think, will affect your workflow, and you have to be very, very specific. So you can't. It's fine being a lone developer putting in singular prompts, but as when you're working in a team and then across a team and an enterprise and multiple developers and multiple teams, sometimes you do need to think a lot more about how you replicate the behavior so that people are getting more consistent results with the same prompts and the same use of the same templates for prompting.
Bala?
Yeah, mostly for me, AI, we have used GitHub Copilot, and most of my migrations, like from ASP.NET to MVC and MVC to headless, most of the migrations, at least AI was fully used for all the migration scripting in PowerShell. That helped a lot. And then looking into the system, or like looking into a particular piece of code, specifically in those areas, it really helped. That's where mostly I've been using, not for my blogs though.
Jim.
So a lot of the clients that I work with, they have varying, I guess, degrees of tolerance for how much AI is allowed to be involved in the content creation and the content publication process. I have one client that says we're not allowed to use it at all, period, end of discussion. And what I generally will use it for is cleaning up code. So if somebody gives me a Word doc that's got a table in it, and I have to move that table into Sitecore, it's not going to be a copy and paste. So I'll just take it, I'll drop it into Microsoft Copilot or ChatGPT, whichever one we're allowed to use at each particular spot. And I'll tell it to convert it into a flat HTML table for me. And that works out pretty good. And then I just copy and paste the code. And that saves me a ton of work. One other thing I like, I've been using it for is I have a client that is very down with making things very accessible. So they moved away from tables. So one part of the project was converting all the tables to bulleted lists. And it's like, I don't have the brain power to figure this out for 50 pages. So I would take the table content and drop it into ChatGPT and say, give me a bulleted list version of this. And it would spit that out, and that worked out perfect. So it definitely has its uses in the content world. With images, I've tried it. I don't like the results. And I think Cam had mentioned, like, it'll apologize to you. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't get this right. It's like, that's wonderful. Just get it right the next time. If you can remember, like, or, you'll say, I have these set of parameters that I need you to code to create a table about. And then it goes in and it's like, hey, I just thought, I'm just going to add colorful borders into your table. It's like, I didn't ask for that. Please don't do that. I've also had ones where they've it's taken the copy and edited the copy. And it's like, no, don't edit the copy. Just take this big block of text and then put it into semantic HTML for me so I can just drop it into rich text editor. So it's I don't want to say it's made things easier 100%. It's taken away some of the heavy lifting, but you still have to keep, in the content world anyway, you still have to keep a watchful eye over what it does to make sure that it's not making changes and improvements that it feels are necessary for your content without your knowledge. So
yeah.
And then you're going to go back and delete all the emojis that it's added.
Yes.
Corey.
Yeah, so of course, using agent mode, that's been a huge game changer for development. I mean, agent mode, it's quite interesting. I mean, going back to what Cam said about the hallucinations, right? Like, if you're just sitting in the browser and prompting it, it'll make stuff up all the time. But when it really gets powerful is when you can give it its own feedback loop, like writing unit tests, for example. When you give agent mode the power to go and run its own unit tests and feed back into itself, like, these things are actually working and not working, it's amazing that the hallucinations don't really matter as much, that concern kind of goes away and you can get a lot of productivity gains out of it. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I mean, like, going back to the Sitecore Advent Calendar, like, that site, I used Copilot to build it. And I mean, a year ago, if I had worked on this project, it would have taken me probably a lot longer than it did this time just to spin all that up. It's pretty mind-blowing. I think the term is how much software engineering has gotten democratized and made easy for people. But it is also interesting just to see kind of the limitations and the things that, like, some of the more difficult problems it still struggles with and requires us to get involved in. But I think one thing that I'm kind of curious to hear what other people's thoughts are with AI. Someone, I think, just mentioned, like, about writing blogs with AI. And I think that's kind of an interesting topic because we can all pick out AI blog posts pretty easily, right? I mean, when somebody uses AI, it's their signs. I mean, it's the perfect grammar, it's the perfect spelling, it's the bold headlines, it's the emoji bullet points and all that stuff, right? To me personally, when I see those things on a blog post, the blog post loses credibility for me. I don't really want to read it. Honestly, I don't even know that I can trust what's there because it looks like an AI post. What's hallucinated, what's not, I don't trust it. And I think that that's kind of interesting that now a perfect blog post is costing perhaps the producer credibility, whereas before, 5 or 10 years ago, you having typos or you having bad grammar in your blog posts actually cost you credibility, right? Because you come across a blog and it's like, if it's full of typos, if it's full of bad grammar, you're like, can I trust this person? But now that's actually kind of a good thing, right? Like I see the bad grammar, I see the typos, and I'm like, oh, this was probably actually written by a person. I trust this more, right? So I wonder, do you guys find a similar thing? I mean, I know, like I've read, of course, a lot of Kamruz's blog posts. I've read a lot of Jeff's blog posts. I know their voice. I trust them. Like when I see their blogs, I know what they sound like, and yeah, I know the voice of AI now, and it's not trustworthy. So what do you guys think about that?
I mean, definitely for me, when I run stuff through, because I will run it through AI for review essentially, right? But some of the suggestions that will come back with is like, that's not how I talk, and at this point I have to kind of keep up my same style, if you like, right? So AI hasn't got advanced, at least my AI hasn't got advanced enough to know my style, and the way I want to explain something and the way I want to portray something. And so I will take some of the advice it gives me for, maybe you could change this to make this a bit more clearer, or, it will also point out some of the, you've made a spelling, a typo, you missed out something in the grammar, which I will fix. Not quite perfect, but I still do want to keep things in my own voice and my own style. So I typically won't.
Let's hear from
AI.
Jeff.
Yeah, me too. I like my blogs to be my own voice, but you'd be surprised that maybe I use AI to write in my own voice now. So some of my blog posts recently, I've done the research using AI. I know my topic, but I don't want to write it all by hand. So I do the initial research. I say, hey, I want these headings in my blog post. I want to talk about especially these aspects of it. Then it gives me a generic text, and I have a Gemini gem that I fed with all of my blogs from the past and asked, like, what is my writing style? And he went detailed, like, oh, you use bullets a lot, you are precise, you are direct, etc. I took that and I put that in the gem. And then here's my tone of voice, like, take this generic blog post and rewrite it using my voice. And then I, of course, review everything, make sure it's accurate, move things around and make it my own. But that sped up the process a lot for me. Other aspects how AI changed my work, of course, for a few years already, AI assisted programming changed our lives, as was mentioned. It helps a lot to create not just the code for the solution, but extra tools, extra scripts on the side to make the work faster. That's a really good use of it. And in addition to that, in my thought leadership, in my solutioning skills, in the last year, now it evolved to include questions about how AI could help solve the client challenges, either with different models, different AI products that we could use, agents, workflows, etc. So now my thought when I solution problems is including AI more and more.
Yeah. Well, I'm not surprised that we are spending more time on this one because you cannot avoid talking AI. So quickly, we have to be mindful about time, but quickly, I just want to add, like, I start with like a quick story. My daughter came in the Thanksgiving and she asked me, like, can you build a website for me? Okay, and she's in the writing space. She would be like, happy to see you guys, like, talking, shitting on AI, like, how we don't trust it. She is a writer. So anyway, she asked me, and I sat and in a couple of hours, I built a website for her. So I'm not a designer, but it's amazing that how quickly you can build something. And I use anti-gravity, Google anti-gravity. I didn't have any idea how powerful it is. So then I gave it to her. I deployed to Varsal and I said, right, here you go. And she said, how can I update content? How can I upload something? And I said that you give me your content, I will just add it. So she said, no, I don't want to give it to you. I want to actually add it when I have time. I want to change it and things like that. I said that, okay, let me think about it. And I sat and I actually wrote a CMS for her based on her website, okay, in couple of hours. And basically, and I also put it in behind the like an authentication login, using Google login. And it's just perfect. She can now go and add content, new articles she's adding, she can add that. So the learning for me in that was as Bala just mentioned, like Sitecore went for composable to composed. I feel like still now we are using AI kind of in a disconnected mode. We want to solve a particular problem. We just ask AI to provide the solution. But looking at this, it seems to me Sitecore is going to the right direction where you have a compose system and you tell AI, I want to build a website, and based on the CMS system, I want to use all this personalization and other things. Okay, build it using Sitecore. Okay, and then Sitecore should do something that AI recognizes technology and it actually builds something based on the Sitecore platform. Right now, the way I built it is I asked AI to put things on the MongoDB, use Google for authentication, and all these things I had to choose. And basically, which is kind of decomposable architecture. And I could actually build it because I know it, okay, how to build it, right? So, but I think it will be useful if AI recognize that I am building something in the Sitecore. So I have to actually stick to Sitecore and build something. And Sitecore should have a layer that actually let AI penetrate it and do that. Okay. So should we move to the next topic? I think XP is pretty big topic, and we know that it's just so many clients are there. So what do you think the future of XP? So Cody, I'll ask you to start. We have 10 more minutes though.
I mean, I think Sitecore told us at Symposium this year, right? They're building Sitecore vNext, which is Sitecore is going to be rebuilt from scratch. It's not going to be the Sitecore that you know today, the XP that you know today. It's going to be basically a new product, but built on Sitecore, or it's going to be built on .NET. It's going to have a 2-year upgrade cycle because it's going to be tied to the 2-year LTS releases of .NET. So yeah, I mean, I think that there are, and Sitecore made the case that there are still a lot of clients that are never going to move to their SaaS product. Clients that have ultra sensitive content that they need to publish, like maybe content that moves markets, those kind of clients are never going to trust that content to be outside of their own protected data stores. So there is a market for it. Sitecore is going to deliver. And I think the coolest thing about vNext that's going to make it appealing to a lot of those clients is the fact that Sitecore is committed to building it in such a way that you don't have to rewrite your site to use it. So even if your site's still running on XSLT, the new system is going to be able to render your site, and you can get all the better parts around that. So that's the future. Cam, I think, were you in that session?
Yeah, no, I
well?
was at that session. Yeah, I was. Yeah, and they're obviously talking about using what they call the strangler fig pattern, right, to migrate.
Right.
So they will keep the current XP, and then they will start to build around it so that they can start to remove the pieces, right, replace the pieces over time, and to move them to be able to move over to this brand new system. Yeah, and as Corey said, they will support MVC as well as a version of headless which will run on .NET Core, allow people to run on-prem, and that will allow them to move on to the newer framework. Other solutions we've used on .NET Core, they just run massively faster, right? It's cheaper to host and they scale much more easily. But it is obviously interesting that they're taking a very different direction to what the XM Cloud, the old XM Cloud team essentially is doing, who have migrated away into split that old code base completely now and are off in a different direction. So it'd be interesting to see what they do with that. There's obviously still a lot of development happening with Stream for the on-prem on-prem module, and they have a longer term roadmap. There was another session on that alone at Symposium. So there are still a lot of things happening on XMXP. It's just not as loud or as visible as obviously Sitecore AI, where things can move more rapidly. I mean, certainly we found over some of the changes they've made over the last few years with the resource files and things like that have made upgrades, assuming that your solution is built it following best practices. Those upgrades have been much quicker and much faster than than previous years, and you can get something upgraded within a week or two, right? So some of that pain had gone away, just at the point that they XM Cloud was obviously becoming big. So.
Go ahead, Bala.
Himadri, what was the question again? Sorry, I missed it.
Future of XP.
Future of XP. I believe there is a lot of changes coming through in 10.5, I would say, or expectation or speculation around that. That is something we're looking forward, but I still prefer, like I've been moving all my clients from XP to XM if they are really not using the personalization. A lot of clients, they buy it and they never use any of those features. It's been just sitting there, and recently one of the clients, the XConnect server has been constantly, the SQL server is being pegged, and I'm like, you're not even using it. Like, why are you having this and troubling me to debug this kind of? So that's my take. If you're really not using it, just go with XM. And one of my clients, they've been using Salesforce Personalize or like the personalization studio. So I'm like, why do you have XP? Like, let's move to XM. Keep your personalization in Salesforce. So it's more like client by client basis. I look at that and then try to give that option to them. So my take on it, stay on XM if you're really not using XP. But future, there is some updates might be coming in 10.5. I'm looking forward for that.
Yeah. Jim?
I haven't really done personalization with people in a couple of years now, so I'm at least 2 years. So does that speak well for XP? I don't know, but yeah, that's about as much as I can bring to the topic.
Well, XM
I
still does
think,
personalization.
yeah,
So
but I mean, people just it's a lot. It's a lot for people for authors and for marketing folks to kind of wrap their head around. I've seen instances where people will go off in the wrong direction and like want to create rules that like a rule stack that's like 15 rules on top of each other. And it's like, listen, it's wonderful that you feel like, there's one person that's going to see this one tiny thing after they run the gauntlet of rules to get to, but it's meant to be something easier, something lighter, where it's an A or a B or possibly a C also. It's not meant to be this like hyper driven down, like, and so I think that's what a lot of people struggle with. I think they expect too much or they ask too much when they should really be, stepping a little bit further back and seeing, at least, like I said, from a lighter weight type of side, give people 3 choices, not customized to the point where there's 15 different, because you have to write content that supports all that too. And people don't realize that either. And then when you put it into different languages, then it gets even exponentially larger. So keep it simple if you're going to go with it is the only advice I'd give.
And now the expectation, of course.
It's like personalization and all those stuff are like aspiring purchase for our client. So we have 3 more minutes. If you guys can stay a little bit longer. Jeff, you have anything to add?
Nothing more than Kamruz and Corey already covered. Thank you.
Yeah.
That is
Maulik?
that is one thing like so when we are looking at XP, what I'm really looking forward to how we can utilize Sitecore Stream with XP. So currently, what we can do is what we can do it in. So basically, if I have an XP, I have uploaded the branding guidelines. I can create the content, headers, etc. So how we can take one more step like translation. So I have uploaded content. I have created content in one language. How it should automatically create content in another language. It should automatically do that using agentic workflow. Future could be how we can utilize that for maybe A/B testing, personalization, anything, any other option. Is there anything available like that? So that way, it would be much more like people would be little more excited to use. Hey, something new is coming in XP. So I am looking forward to that collaboration with XP and Sitecore Stream.
All right. Thanks, guys. We have 2 minutes. I think we'll skip to the last one. Recommend a feature that you want Sitecore to add their product. So if everyone has like maybe 10-15 seconds to, we'll take this and maybe we'll actually shoot it to Sitecore. So I'll go first. I want to actually see something AI related happening in the order cloud. Specifically, I see that other e-commerce system are like moving toward conversational e-commerce is changing. So I would like to see something like that in the order cloud. Corey?
Sticking to Sitecore XMXP, I'd like to see cumulative upgrades be easier. They're still a total pain in the neck anytime you've got to apply them. So if they could spend a little bit of focus on that, I'd appreciate it.
All right,
Cam?
Couple of things that are coming in XM Cloud were like the publishing, which is now disappearing. That is a big change, which I wanted to see for a long time. That's coming. And then also, I think they called it content releases, where you can release entire campaigns in one go. That's coming in XM Cloud. Those are things that we've asked for a long time in this community. So my wish list, those two for my wish list are already filled up. Otherwise, I think some better guidance for teams using AI for development would be nice, like they have in their current cookbook, right? For building with XM Cloud, if you get some AI guidelines and usage in there, that'd be nice.
Yep.
I have one client that is moving into Content Hub Ops, and they don't have Content Hub as their DAM of choice. And so now they're kind of stuck waiting for Sitecore to kind of catch up and allow you to integrate other DAMs into Content Hub Ops. If that would come, they're saying it's coming in January. If it could come in January, that would be great. That's on my wish list. That'll keep me employed for at least the next 3 months.
Jeff?
Yeah. For me, it would be an easy way for devs to create or trial testing or demo environments for them that have no access to a Sitecore Cloud organization. Yeah. Also, like Kamruz, the content service release, I'm really looking forward to that. And I would hope Sitecore to release less content SDK versions, so we don't have to upgrade our front end all the time to get the latest and greatest. So innovation without requiring head updates.
Right. Gvala?
Considering this year with a lot of migration, I want migration with ease. We talk about a lot of around the content
Pathway,
SDK.
right?
What is that?
Pathway?
Yeah, pathway. But my most frustration this year was related to a headless migration that I was doing. So they don't talk about it at all. Like when you go to XM Cloud, no upgrades required, but you do. Like they said, content SDK, they keep changing the versions, and it's very painful to do those upgrades. I wish it could be easier.
Maulik.
I think almost everyone has covered most point, but as we almost each and everyone being MVP, almost each and everything, we are just one guest, but other MVPs, I would like to bring that one. That Sitecore definitely gives MVPs access to their products first, so we can play around. We are aware that something is coming. This kind of a new thing is coming. Let's say stream is coming, so we have access to the stream environment, and when they release it, we are able to answer to our clients that yeah, this particular stream has something like that, you can do X thing, Y things, Z thing. So yeah, I would really like to have those accesses, MVP specific accesses to the products.
All right. If any of those things happens, you will not know, know that was done from our list. Thanks, guys. Thanks,
if we could
guys.
also
Thank you
make
very much.
if we could make Pathways AI open source, that'd be great, because then we could actually go and customize it for our migration needs. I think that would be a good one.
Okay. Yeah.
So make that one number one for me.
For sure. We have recorded it, and we'll build a list and send it to Sitecore. Thank you so much for joining this session. This was such a good discussion here. And thanks again. Hope to see you again in our Sitecore user group next year. And if we don't talk this year, Happy New Year and happy holidays to everyone. Thank you so much.
Everyone.
Merry
Thanks very much.
Christmas.
Thank you very much.
Happy New Year.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.